Okay, now let's make a cloud animation. I'm going to make a new folder. Call this one Shimmer. Just put this stuff right here. All right, so I'm going to make a new comp. It can be the HDTV 2997. I'm just going to call this one Cloud. We're going to have to do a pre-comp for this one. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this cloud using shape layers. Let's make that color. I want the fill to be, well, the fill can be any color you want, because once you pre-comp the cloud, you can do a fill effect and turn it into whatever color you want. So as long as you have a color that you can animate against the background, that's fine. So right now I'm just going to use white because clouds are mostly white. So I'm going to create this this circle like that. So I've got one circle. So I'm going to put this over here. Command D to duplicate it. And I'm going to put this over here, and I'm going to make this one bigger. I'm just going to shift, hold that down, make it bigger. All right. So I've got two ellipses here, and these are going to stay pretty stationary. And I'm going on this same shape layer. I'm going to hold down G, and with my pen tool, I'm going to add the bottom of the cloud and just have that go something like this. Okay, so I've got a nice shape there. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another circle right here, the ellipse tool, no other layer selected, to create a fresh new shape layer that's a circle. Well, bam, right there. All right, so now what I want to do is strategically do like this little billowing effect where the cloud, you know, when clouds sit on the mountain, it looks like they ought to be moving forward, but really there's like a piece of cloud coming out from the bottom, and then they billow up over the top, and they move backward. So the cloud looks like it's rolling forward, but it's really just sitting on the mountain and not going anywhere. So that's what I'm going to try and go for here. So I'm going to need a combination, and as it goes up, so I want it to start out here, almost the same as this circle, but then billow up, get bigger, and then shrink down to the size of this one. So I'm going to need to use a combination of position, scale, just position and scale. So I'm going to go back to the beginning of my timeline and hit Alt-P for add a position keyframe and Alt-S for a scale keyframe. Whoops. All right, so I accidentally have my anchor point off to the side here, which, I don't know, I could maybe use it that way, but I'm going to use my Move Behind tool, which is Y on your keyboard, and I'm going to just move that anchor point somewhere close to the middle of that circle. Hit V to activate my selection tool, and then just hold down Shift, grab the corner, and just kind of strategically place that down there. Now, how long is it going to take for this to billow up and over? Maybe, I don't know, let's say it's going to take 2 seconds. So I go forward to 2 seconds, and I need to find my endpoint, which will be right here, and maybe this will be bigger. But I'm just going to try and make this inside the confines of that other shape. So it'll be right there. Now by default, After Effects assumes you want to do a Bezier curve on your position. So there's this little heavier square right here. That's actually a Bezier handle, so I can curve that up and over. So now I've just got that going up and over like that. And it goes down. So I've got a position keyframe for the beginning and a scale and end, and a scale keyframe for the beginning and end. Okay, so that's going up and over just like that. Next, what I want to do is once this gets up to about right here, maybe that's the point where this circle will be its biggest. So I'm going to just increase the scale of that to right there, and then hopefully that looks pretty normal. Now it's kind of slamming into that position. It's going bonk, like I don't know if you guys can see that like I can. That this, when it hits that top scale keyframe, it like hits it and then immediately starts getting small again. So I'm going to add an easy ease to that keyframe. See how I like that? This animation might be happening too fast for me. All right. Does that look okay? I'm going to change the scale of this first keyframe so that it is inside that other circle too, just to be safe. All right. Now what we need to do is have this happening over and over and over again. So this is going to be my billow, and I'm going to have this one be my cloud bottom. And I'm just going to lock the cloud bottom layer because I'm not going to move it around at all. All right, so I've got this cloud billow. One cool thing, just bear with me here, I'm going to loop these keyframes so that I don't have to duplicate these keyframes over and over again. In fact, before I do that, no, I'm on that train of thought, so let's do it. Let's add an expression to the position and the scale keyframes. So this expression goes like this. It's LOOP, capital O-U-T. And then you do a parenthesis, quotation mark, cycle, quotation, close parentheses. Okay? I'm going to select that, copy it. Now if I hit my soft return, it'll accept that that expression. What that expression says is all the keyframes that are on this property, this position property, once it gets to the end, go back to the beginning and repeat it over and over and over forever and ever and ever. Okay? So I've done those two keyframes. Boom. Boom. But look what happened. It does the first one, it billows up, and then it scales back down. But then when it starts repeating, the scale is stuck because I need to add that same expression to the scale. So because I copied that text, I can just paste it into that one. And now it'll repeat those scale keyframes over and over. Okay, so we got one cloud billowing up and over. So who wants to guess what I need to do now? Nobody?
Copy and stagger them.
Yep. So duplicate the billow, stagger the timing of it, so that when this one gets to about right here, the next one ought to be about right there. How many frames is that? That's 13 frames. I'm going to make it 12 frames. So then if I duplicate that again, Command Shift right arrow will move my playhead over 10 frames, and then Command right arrow 2 more times. That's 12 frames. And then if I hit my left bracket, it'll change the timing of that first one. And I'm just going to do that enough times to have a billow happening every 12 frames till it just repeats over and over. So duplicate bracket, forward 12 frames, duplicate bracket. Let's see if that's enough. Bloop, 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 bloop. Okay, so that's working well enough. Okay, now I want to make this animation last longer than 5 seconds. It can last forever because I put that looping expression on those keyframes. So I'm going to go Command K, and I'm going to change the duration of this to 30 seconds. Click OK. Now I have all my layers ending, so I'm going to unlock the cloud bottom, hit Command A, hit End, and then Alt right bracket will trim the end of those all the way to the end. So now this will just keep billowing and going forever and ever and ever. Okay, now that that animation is done, we now have a pre-comp. This can become an object that you put into another comp, and it'll just be this cloud that just continually billows. And if you want to make sure that you never see this part, you can just take all these layers and have the beginning of them start before the comp ever starts. So there's your object. And so if I make a new composition, I'm going to call this one Sky. Click OK. Do a new solid with Command Y. Make a sky color. Click OK, click OK. Now if I place that cloud in there, it's going to be a really big cloud, but I can just scale that down, place it over here. Duplicate it, put it over here, make it bigger, duplicate it, put it over here, make it bigger still. Okay, now here's one more thing. You can slow it down. You can slow one of these down because right now all these clouds are moving at exactly the same speed, which may not be accurate. Maybe the big one should be moving slower. So you can either use your time remap effect, or you can go into this little icon with the brackets down to the bottom left corner of your screen, and you can stretch it out so that if you stretch it out longer, then that'll make it play back slower. So I'm going to do the same thing to this middle one, but not quite as far. So now we have 3 little clouds that are running at different speeds. You can also, not do a uniform scale, so that kind of looks funny. Yeah, that looks funny too. But if you wanted to, you could duplicate your cloud layer, your cloud pre-comp, and then change the way the cloud rolls up and over. Maybe more of a less of an arc or more of an arc, so that you maintain some circular plumes, cloud plumes. Anyway, so cute. All right, here's another thing you could do though. I'm going to make the scale of all these the same. I'm going to make them all 50% or 35%. Okay, so now they're all the same size. If I make them 3D and then just move this one closer, place it over here, move this one closer, move it over here. They're all the same size, but now they appear to be different sized because they're closer to the camera. So if I make a new camera, 50 millimeters good. and I'm gonna hit C till I have my camera move tool. There's some parallax movement, so I can like come down from above the clouds, travel through the clouds, and there's parallax movement, and they'll be moving the whole time. Position. I've got the orientation on this camera. I'm going to turn that off. Okay. Welcome to your neighborhood. And then you could, strategically place a little mountainscape, an airplane flying through, birds. And then you just have your camera move through the scene and lots of fun.
I'll playing royalty free music.
Yeah. Yeah. Free play Google Tracks or whatever they're called. All right.